go short with my introductions today. Okay, I don't have a great formal one. This is Coach Johnson. He's going to be talking to you today about coaching at the tennis pro
yeah. Private coaching,
level,
yeah.
Private coaching, and transition to college coaching. Okay, he's been here at Pratt Community College since we reenacted or gave birth back to our tennis program. The website's a little goofy. This is 4.
Yeah, this is year 4.
Year 4.
Yep.
And if you haven't had a chance to watch our tennis team, you need to go out and watch our tennis team. They're pretty damn good. Okay, nationally ranked. We'll head back to nationals, I'm assuming. I don't need to give you any bad juju, but should go back this year and do fairly well at the national level again. Okay, I'm going to let him have it. This is Coach Jeret Johnson.
Hi everyone. Okay, tennis pro, I'm just getting straight into it here. Being a tennis pro / a private coach has a lot of goods and bads. You know, like personally here, a little bit of background and stuff, at least from the private coaching standpoint, is I went and I lived out in New York for a little while. I went and lived down in Florida for a little bit here too, Oklahoma City and stuff for a bit, and just had a wide variety of clientele. You know, I went and I coached a little bit out in the Hamptons in the summertime, you know, over there at West Point, New York and stuff. I was a tennis coach for the college as well as a tennis pro, and then a high performance coach down in Edmond / Oklahoma City area for a bit. Knowing your clientele definitely changes, you know, the game a lot here too. There's just a lot of money in private coaching. If you guys are willing to do baseball lessons, basketball lessons, track, like whatever, you guys can make a very pretty penny in a hurry. Now, personally, right now here, I have a wife here, live in Larned. You know, I like to go and keep things a little more simple nowadays. I want to be able to work in the house and do all that sort of stuff. And so I don't do near as much. And truthfully, when you're in smaller towns, there's just not the opportunities there are in bigger cities. You know, there's not. But if you guys are willing to be in a bigger city, you guys got a lot of opportunity for stuff like this. So I just went and wanted to talk a little bit about how you get into the private coaching. One, playing a college sport helps a lot. You know, just having the experience. You don't necessarily have to be the fastest, the fastest 100-meter runner ever. You know, you don't have to be the best tennis player ever. I by all means was not. But at the same time though too, like embracing this, you know, paying attention to practice. I started out coaching rec tennis in the summer times over in Larned. Well, I'm from Larned, Kansas, for anybody that is familiar and stuff over here from the state. From there though, I just went and I put a lot of effort and attention into like, hey, how do you teach a 6-year-old how to hit a forehand? You know, like how do you go and teach 10-year-olds, you know, games, this sort of stuff over here. And I just took a big interest into it when I was young, you know, back in high school there. And so with that being said here, I had some great coaches and stuff, like I said, over at West Point over here too, and over in Florida that went and helped a lot here with teaching me really how to run different drills, camps, things like this here. So degree-wise, certification-wise, you can do, at least from the tennis standpoint, you can do a couple different things. You can get your PTR, which is Professional Tennis Registry, which is an international certification. Very easy. Kind of like, okay, just being honest with you over here too, like when you guys go to class here and you guys learn about all of this stuff here, whatever you're gonna major in, it's a very, very different in the real world also, you know, applying this stuff. You know, like it's, you guys just gotta get your feet wet. You know, the experience just cannot be beat when you get to your real world jobs there. And so, like I said, I'm not saying anything bad about school, it's just certification wise over here too, it's a piece of paper. You know, that one over here is more for international stuff, PTR is. I have the 11 to 17 professional certification for that there, so essentially high school kids. That's what I thought I was gonna be teaching, you know, way back whenever I was younger and stuff in college. One of my other jobs required me to get the USPTA certification, so United States Professional Tennis Association certification there too. And again, it's just a big long word. They just want you to pay money each year. You go to a couple workshops here to make sure that you can hit a decent tennis ball, you know, structure a lesson, this sort of stuff there. And so really, those certifications there, it's nice because back on the resume, they go and they say you're this over here. They have limit or liability insurance and stuff like this, but again, pretty easy stuff overall. You don't have to have this stuff, but it does help. Clients do think that, You know, when you have a couple more titles with your name and stuff here, it helps initially before meeting them. So, certification wise, not a big deal. Money. I just went and made some notes over here, some bullet points, just covering this. Different areas pay differently here too. When you're in smaller towns there, you're just not gonna make as much here. When I was in Oklahoma City, for example, here, there was a private club called the Oak Tree, and you could go and they would charge around 70 to 75 bucks an hour. And so, being a private contractor, you're not making quite that much, but you're still making 60, 65 bucks an hour. The other 10 goes to court fees / directors, this sort of stuff here. We went to another club here, it's called Kicking Bird down the road, that I also worked at quite a bit as well. 50 bucks an hour, it was a public club, and so they're not charging membership fees, so everything is cheaper. You get to keep everything whenever you go and you teach there, and they'll pay different amounts, for individual lessons / private lessons / group lessons, older, younger, that sort of thing over here. Over in like the Hamptons here, they would go and they would charge for our small club and stuff that I was at here. It'd be $120 an hour for a lesson, and then you would get to keep 100. And I say keep, it's not keep. You'd have to pay taxes and everything else off of that. But also, going out to eat, getting a hamburger is also 60 bucks. So it's a little bit of a different world than over here. So with that being said, this is stay with a friend and try to get a cheap place, but also you can make some good money doing this sort of stuff. Let's see, money-wise here, if you guys are wanting to be a director, so if you want to be a director at a certain club, like the country clubs and this sort of stuff, you're making 80 to 100K plus a year minimum. Now, with that being said, you also have a lot of very wealthy, some snobby, snobby people that you're dealing with on a normal daily basis over here, and so keeping them happy can be a little bit interesting or challenging at times. But at the same time though too, you're also paid very, very nicely for stuff like this, and you have just more of that management role. The management role being you have to make sure you coordinate all the schedules over here too. You have junior development, you have tennis pros going each way. I mean, you guys know what I mean. It's just, you make sure people are happy. So tournaments, running all that sort of stuff there, pretty common with the directors and stuff there at these clubs. So, let's see. So if you guys are wanting to go on to do something that's outside of the club realm, you certainly can. Like going down south here to the place where it's a little bit warmer, like if you're in Dallas, for example, or Houston, and just those are two of the closer places where it's pretty warm most of the time. You'll 100% have tons of public facilities, and people are willing to pay good money to have lessons here. And so, as long as you're under 70 bucks an hour, 60 bucks an hour here, you're going to be very busy all the time. You really are. So, managing facilities, you are in charge of facilities. Normally, you resurface courts every 5 years. And so, when it comes to resurfacing here, finding different contractors, things like this to come in to resurface, it can be kind of a pain in the butt and stuff here. You have to have the right weather for it. They're normally pretty fast about it. So you have essentially, 2 to 3 days where if the courts are not in bad shape here, contractors come in, they take care of it. If you're interested to do it yourself, you certainly can, and you make a little bit of money there, but it's a little more hit and miss there on how busy you're gonna be. But again, if you're director of the club though, you're in charge of those facilities and keeping them upright there. Types of lessons. Personally, I'm a chatty Cathy. I like to talk. Whenever you go and you have, when you have older people and stuff here, one thing I love about it is I can go and can say, hey, Mike, you want to get better at tennis over here? Hey, what exactly do you want? Are you wanting to sweat? Are you wanting to just get away from your wife for an hour and a half? You know what I mean? And just not think about anything? Are you wanting to be a tournament player? Are you wanting to, what do you want here? And the thing I love about the adults are, they'll go and they'll say, hey, I just want to beat my brother-in-law. That's it. I want to beat his ass. I want to beat his butt over here very badly. And so we go and we start working on different drills, different stuff like this, trying to accommodate. I have older ladies and stuff here who'll just say, hey, I like tango. I want to be able to move better. I've had cognitive says, I like tango, I wanna be able to move better over here, and so I just thought tennis would not be a bad thing here to go and to help with the balance, the flexibility, that sort of stuff there. You have the high performance kids, obviously, you know that you're doing very specific things for. You have little kids here that, man, as long as you're goofy, they love it. You know, you just gotta be goofy and stuff there. But the high energy is big, it's huge there for stuff like this. Adults can go and they can also have lessons in the mornings. For example, here sometimes mid-afternoons, but you're also gonna be working a lot on weekends and evenings. If you're not comfortable, if you're not happy with working on weekends and evenings, this is not really a great line of work there. If you're very, very good and established, you can have lessons during the day, obviously, but man, it's limited clientele. It is. So, let's see. Oh, coordinating with the other people here. If you're a director and you guys have tennis pros working under you, man, you can make some serious money, you really can, but you also have to have a decent sized facility to go and to really start, you know, giving other tasks. You know, you're not on court all the time here. And so you're not gonna go to very many 4, 5, 6 court facilities there and be in very good shape. You know, you're gonna need to go to facilities that have indoor courts here, so you're just always busy, you know, 10 courts, 12 courts, stuff like this is just gonna be a big thing. But finding tennis pros can be tough nowadays. To go and to find people that are energetic, that are ready to go and stuff here is it's not easy. But it's the same with pretty much every profession right now too. Like if you guys are energized, if you're you know, organized, this sort of stuff here, man, you guys can make, like I said, a lot of money doing a lot of different things, not just tennis, but just for any other sport though as well. Let's see, sponsorships. So most of the time here, you guys see a lot of different people coming in and out all the time here. So you guys will have different reps, you know, Wilson and Head and some of these different reps and stuff, brands coming to you guys here, and they want to sponsor you. They want to make sure that you're wearing head rackets, head clothing from head to toe. And so most tennis pros that are sponsored with different organizations, different people like that. The sponsorships normally they don't give any money, but it's just free clothing, free you know, rackets, string, whatever you want here too. So from the tennis pro stuff here, I thought I would cover some of the cool parts to that, some of the things that I thought would be interesting if I was sitting in your guys' seats here. So any questions or anything on tennis pro stuff here, private coaching?
You prefer coaching larger or smaller groups of people?
So, great question. Old and young here also makes a difference. I do not care to have large groups of young kids. Large groups of young kids to me are just, the safety sucks. You know, there's swinging rackets around everywhere. It was an ongoing joke. My older sister actually helped me coach rec tennis back whenever I was home, and literally her entire job was just to make sure that kids didn't hit each other, and that she would take them to the bathroom and then nosebleeds. Just nosebleeds, hitting kids, like, I mean, so I did not care for that. Adults, large group, are great. They're fantastic here too. Some don't move as much, you know, some want to go really hard, but they also will talk and they'll tell you what they need as well. But yeah, large groups can also be very, very profitable too. And so personally, I like the one-on-one, being able to talk, you know, like with one person, but you know, they're decent. There are some good things about having some large groups, you know, so good question. Or, what's up?
I wanted to ask about the sponsorship thing.
Yep.
More like, so you just, with sponsorships, do you just get like things for free? Cause in baseball, you'll see like billboard type things on like fences and
Yep.
all that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that baseball team or tennis, do you pay them or do they pay you to be sponsored?
So you talking more facilities, like for college, you talking more individual coaching, or like?
Oh, yeah, more like facilities, cause I heard you say the team will get sponsored by, for y'all, like Wilson or Head, so.
Yes, so when it comes to colleges here, you guys have different tiers of sponsorships. And so you guys have a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, I think tier 4. When we were at West Point here, it was a tier 2 sponsorship with Nike. And so what Nike would do is they had a certain amount allotted to every sports program, in football, obviously being football, it will get the most sponsorship money, period. They'll divvy it out other ways. If you go to Power 4 schools their sponsorships are much obviously higher there. And so they'll always give sponsorship money to coaches. So if you're a coach at a Power 4, then, you're at Oklahoma State over here, you're gonna get $4 or $5 grand a year just for you personally to go and to buy stuff. As an assistant coach there, they normally are half that. And so 1, 2, 2.5, somewhere in that area. And then for the team, at least I know for tennis, for 8 people, they would go and they would get around 30 to 35,000 a year, is what it used to be a couple years ago, for a, like I said, level 1 sponsorship for a Power 4 school. Now, with that being said, 35 to 40,000 for just 8 people, you get a lot of clothes, a lot of shoes, a lot of everything here. They want to make sure though that all these people that are traveling everywhere are all decked out in Oklahoma State Nike tennis stuff here. You know what I mean? Like it's huge. Personally, I don't know a lot about like baseball, if I'm being truthful about the amount of money that they get and stuff here, but 100% they have sponsorships that are massive. Now, when they go to tier 2, like I said, it's not near as much over here, but you'll still get plenty of free stuff as well. The tier 3, tier 4 stuff there, essentially they're just giving you discounts on the clothes is really what it comes down to. So they say, hey, full price is gonna be, $100, so now, it's gonna be $50 instead of that. But a lot of it is more just like the TV, the viewership too. They have some very smart people that'll go through and they'll say, all right, how many people are watching Pratt Community College play baseball, every week here? How many people are watching an Army West Point, a mid-major, Wichita State, somebody like that? How many people are watching Oklahoma State or KU play baseball? So, good question there. Hopefully kind of answered some of that, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yep. Any other questions?
How long did it, never mind.
Go ahead. No, you're good.
How long did it take for you to become a tennis pro?
Yeah, so I went and played at Morton, and then I went over to Fort Hays State. I knew I wanted to do the college coaching thing. They didn't have tennis at Fort Hays State. Fort Hays State was a lot cheaper as a whole than really most schools, period, around. And so, and I also had some, relatives. Anyways, it was a clear choice to go over there. And so I started coaching very quickly, very early on there too. From there, after having a couple years of the college experience, like the coaching experience, then with the tennis pro stuff, it was just like that. I mean, it was really pretty simple there. Like I said, if you have high energy and you have a good attitude, you can start really anytime, honestly. So, yeah, good question there.
So I don't know if you have any like personal experience with this, but like let's say you're a coach and you're training with or you're coaching a pro or somebody who wants to be a professional, and they're kind of stubborn, whatever, they're slamming rackets, whatever. How do you what's your approach to the mental side of the training and stuff? Like, is that something you deal with?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'll go 2 different directions with this here too. So focus here. Most of the time whenever you guys are dealing with pros, okay, you guys know when you're in high school here, man, people are not quite as focused over here too, it's fine, but man, as soon as you get to college, people are very focused as a whole. You have to be. If you're not, then you're just being left behind immediately there too. What was interesting was we had some solid players and stuff here, like for example over at Florida and Atlantic there. We had one girl that was 300 in the world at one point and stuff here. How she was playing college tennis beats me. She went and she had a lot of issues, but she had an almost ADD type of personality in the sense of ADHD or anyways here. She was just ultra focused there too. When those people here are training, man, it's just like the entire rest of the world is just absolutely gone here. They'll go and they'll hit 30 tennis balls in a row and they'll miss the 31st ball and they're pissed. It's just a different mindset here. And so they go and the expectations or standards are so much higher as a whole though, because they know that truthfully, if they're not making 31 or 32 tennis balls, they're not able to make a living. I mean, they're not, and so you can't make a living and then all of a sudden you gotta get a real job and, it's different there too. So with all that being said here too, the sports psych part is a different area that you guys can certainly go into. And I know a couple of different people that the sports psych realm is tough. You know, it really is there too, because a lot of times coaches will kind of take on that role and stuff here of, hey, how do I prepare them? Hey, what about the anger side? Hey, what about this? And for everybody, it's just so different. And I think what's hard about that question is you and how I react with you, it's gonna be different than him, it's gonna be different than him and him over here too. Again, it's just a tough one over here too, just because the pressure's on to perform. You know, and so personally, when it comes to like some of the outbursts and stuff, outside world, they don't like it, they don't. But at the same time though too, like you have to let out frustration somehow, whether that be, well, some people smashing racket, you know, some people yelling, you know, an outburst really quick, some people, you know, just like going back to the dugout, you're a baseball guy,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Just like going back to the dugout over here, you wait till you're in the dugout and you see guys that are throwing their helmets once and then they sit down there, they have a minute or two, they cool down and it's fine. Don't like it, but at the same time though too, it's, you get it,
Yeah.
you know, understand there, so. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna go back to like the director, style we were talking, are you talking about like directing like just a club team or like just being like that?
Yeah. Yeah, so, well, we can get in different directions there too. So like most of the time the clubs, like country clubs, for example, you know, if you're gonna go work over at, what's the golf course, Rolling Hill?
Park Hills.
Oh, thank you. So if you're going to work over at Park Hills here, if you're director of Park Hills, the golf side of things, that's what I'm talking about over here for being a director there. Yeah, just as a whole facility there. Yeah. The athletic director realm is something that I really know nothing, to be honest, about there. Not even gonna try to go down that path there by all means, yeah, so. Awesome. Questions? Any?
Did you find it like difficult to build a personal schedule around your like coaching time and stuff like that?
100%. So you said personal schedule like outside, or are you talking the actual schedule of coaching here?
I'd say like personal life, you know, like how did you fit your personal life schedule with your coaching schedule?
There wasn't. Yeah, truthfully, there was not. So at least from the tennis pro standpoint here, it was in the summertime, it would be, most of the time people go work at clubs. You know, there's great opportunities for college kids and stuff to go work at clubs to be a tennis pro throughout the summer. And so overall as a whole, it would normally be 6.5 days on, then a half a day off is the typical schedule throughout the summer there. The half day off may be a Tuesday, it may be Tuesday morning or something like this here, or maybe on a Sunday afternoon, you know, or maybe Sunday morning when people are at church or, you know, whatever it is too, but it's just not much balance. So the short term, it works out great. Long term, but you can also, if you're putting in that kind of hours and stuff here, you can also make a very nice chunk of change though too, and so with a little give and take. Indoor courts are a little different in the winter time. Most clubs don't have enough indoor courts to have everybody on there. And so if you're gonna go on vacation or anything like that, winter time, that's it there. And that's truthfully, like I said, the reason why I don't do the tennis pro stuff anymore too. It's taxing on the body, for sure, but also it's more that balance. There's just not the balance. And if you're coaching the college, then a very normal schedule would be wake up and you have morning lessons, early morning lessons here. The military community likes to wake up earlier as a whole. So we'd have a couple lessons and then I'd have a little bit of that lull in that mid-morning time. And then we'd start having our private lessons for the college kids. And then as soon as we get done with the private lessons for the college kids, it was 1 o'clock till 5 would be straight through with the college practices. And then at 5 o'clock, 5:30, you'd start tennis pro lessons here until some nights were 8 o'clock and 8:30, and some nights we'd get done right at 10:30, 10:45. And then just go to bed and you do it all over again. And so I did not have to be that busy, but also it was like, why not there? So you're right, it's just a more typical tennis pro schedule here, especially like on the weekends, would be most of the time Saturday mornings, people have drills every facility you go to, you know, large group drills. If you want to do privates, you can do privates the rest of the day on Saturday, but you can cut it off Saturday afternoon, mid to late afternoon, And then Sundays there in the mornings, some places like to have them, some places like to go and not have anything because of church. And then afternoons are busy, and then normally it's not a super late day on Sunday. But not a lot of balance. That is a downside for sure of this. Good? Oh, sorry.
So as a tennis coach, like what do you think are some of the most important skills to have an edge over other coaches and make clients want to come to you instead of other people?
Energy, 100%. 100% energy. You know, when you go and you have good energy over here too, people gravitate your way. You know, if you're just a happy person as well, like, man, kids, adults, everybody and stuff here are going towards you. And then truthfully, I'm not gonna lie here too, there's been just a lot of different, like I said, I've had a couple different certifications. I've had a couple different tennis coaches and stuff here too. I'm just watching these guys that have coached on the tour for a long time here. You know, I've had other clients and stuff as well here that coaching, and there's just always picking up more stuff, more drills, all the time really, truthfully there. Early on here, going to multiple different colleges, if you guys are coaching here, most of the time people will go to different places, and you know, you learn a lot more about what you don't like as compared to what you do like. But you do go and latch on to people that are very smart. And so you have a guy over here at West Point that was coaching a couple of girls. Like one gal was 8th in the world at one point. You know, some of the lessons that she would go over here too. You know, Sharapova, which was another stud back in the day. The coach over here would go and train at West Point and East them out. Hey, let's go and let's watch him. You know, I just remember taking so many notes and staying at the facility for so long here. Like I said, thank God I wasn't married at this time here. But picking up that sort of stuff here has just been phenomenal. And then I definitely am not trying to say cocky at all here too, but now I'm very confident in my ability to help, truthfully, anybody at any different level get better. You know, so that kind of stuff right there, like knowing that here too, but then having the energy and stuff like that too, and like just being a goofier guy, a funnier guy here too, is just, it's huge, it's massive, so. All right, sorry, go for it.
Do you have any regrets in your coaching career?
No. Yeah, no, I do not here. The finding good administration, like, man, if you guys go somewhere, like, from the college standpoint, finding good administration here to be around is huge. Like, supporting you guys there, because there will be times and stuff here too where you're gonna piss some people off. You're gonna do some things that people don't like and stuff as well. But as long as you're doing the right thing, you're following the right procedures and stuff, that's huge there. But finding the right administration is really big. But no, I have no regrets whatsoever here. I'm glad to experience, you know, all the different things I have so far. So, all right, college coaching. Moving on here to that. No other questions or anything? Awesome. Okay, college coaching here. You got a lot of different levels. I'm going to briefly go over some of the different characteristics of the different levels here. Not just stay on JUCO here. You know, you guys have a lot of JUCO coaches that you can talk to really about any time here. So I've been coaching, or I coached over at 14 State for just a little while as an assistant coach there. So a Division II in the state of Kansas. UCO, Central Oklahoma, we were top 3 in the country whenever I was there. Division II as well. And then over at West Point here for a little bit, an assistant on the women's side and men's side at different point times. And then over at Florida Atlantic, down in Boca Raton, Florida. The Division I as well, down there. Different characteristics, different expectations, this sort of stuff here. At West Point, you had to be Navy. That's it. That's all anybody cared about. You go 0-20 the rest of the year, but if you won against Navy, you're good. If you don't win against Navy multiple years in a row, then start looking for a new job. And it's nothing personal, it's just, that's how it's gonna be. Air Force is fine, they're okay. You know what I mean? Like, playing against them, obviously you wanna win, but on your letterman's jacket there, you have a silver star and your star match. That's the official match, you know, for every sport here, but you have a silver star for Air Force, gold star for Navy. Nobody could give two craps about Air Force. So, knowing that here too, so what you're preparing for, that's your Super Bowl. That's your, you know, that's what you're looking for here. And so from day one, when people arrive there in August, well, they arrive earlier than that for basic training and all stuff. But it is the whole goal, late April, gotta win one match. And that's it. So as long as you can go, and as long, whatever you can do to help that out is really what you're looking at there. The service academies here, recruiting for the service academies are very strange. You have to go and you have to get a letter from a representative, like from your state representative, somebody over here. And then you have to go and have ACTs that are in the 30s, or SATs that are high. I don't know what they are, to be honest, right now there. I just don't remember here. It helps a lot if you go and do a sport here. Coaches can help push through applications a little bit there, but you've got to be a stellar person here, and there's only a certain amount of kids from each state that they'll take. And so recruiting for West Point is very interesting. Recruiting females for West Point is very, very interesting. You're committing to, it's free school, so everybody's on a full scholarship, but you are committed to, it used to be 4 years of service afterwards, but now it's 5. So you go to school for 4 years, 5 years after, you're in the service doing something. Now, you're automatically a second lieutenant. It's been a little while since I've been there here too, but you're automatically an, is that right?
I think that's right.
Yeah, second lieutenant here, as soon as you get out. Whenever you get out as a second lieutenant here, you're gonna make some nice change as well. You know, like nobody's gonna make less than 50K a year, you know, maybe a high 40, something like that here. You also have living expenses paid for. You automatically have a job after West Point. Like you're done, like, you know, you're in. And so it doesn't matter if you're pushing papers and stuff here behind some desk for a year, or it doesn't matter if, you know, you may be in Germany at some base here, you know, youth ranger school down in Georgia and stuff that a lot of go to. But anyways, there's a lot of different avenues, routes and stuff like this to that particular recruiting for West Point there. Sorry, get off a tangent. When you're trying to go into convince a female to go there, hey, you've got to be a different breed as well. You also are only looking for blue chips, 5 stars, and 4 stars. So essentially, blue chips, top 25 in the country for tennis. I don't know how it is for baseball. 5 stars and 4 stars here. You're essentially looking at about 200 kids per year is what you really are looking at. So when you narrow it down to like roughly 200 kids per year, you don't have very many kids you're looking at. When it comes to D1 recruiting, you can't sign any before, you can't talk to anybody before June 15th, 14th, middle of June of their junior year. Service academies are the only ones that you can go earlier because they have to get the paperwork around that process around here. So, like I said, when it comes to recruiting, you can only have Americans, only US citizens, and so you're looking at the top 200, you gotta go and you gotta send mass emails out to them, and then you gotta see everybody in person. So you look for level 1, level 2 tournaments that are big time tournaments here, down in Florida, over here, there. I mean, it's crazy how in the summertime and in the winter time, in the heart of the winter, man, you are at an airport all the time, constantly. You know, I had a friend over at Oklahoma, he coached over at Oklahoma Baptist for a bit. He was a coach assistant coach for OU for a year or 2 years, something like that. I don't remember exactly now. But he just said, I can't do it anymore. I spent more nights in a hotel than I did in my own house when I was coaching there. Which, still pretty cool. You know, you guys get to see a lot of the world and stuff if you're at OU and all that, but are you okay with being in a hotel more often than being at your own house? You know, goods and bads there. Yeah, if you're recruiting from the Division I schools here, knowing who you got, knowing what your facility's like, you know, you gotta go and market yourself over here. So for us, when I was at Florida Atlantic, it was the beach you can literally see from the top of the football stadium. It was paradise. Playing in paradise or practicing in paradise was a big motto and stuff that we would use all the time. We had the best tennis in the world right there in our own backyard. You know, I don't know if you guys have seen King Charles, but Rick Macy's Tennis Academy here, the crazy guy that talked really fast in the video, yeah, he was about 1.5 miles, 2 miles west of us. Yeah, west of us here. He would drive around in his Maserati, he'd come over to the tennis courts to pick up our girls to go on to train, and the guys over here to give tennis lessons. He charged $600 an hour here, I mean, it was crazy. We had Serena here, my second day on campus, come up with a Patrick Mortar glue, and would go and would train on the 3rd court, and we'd have our kids hitting on court 1, 2, and 4, and rotating around so they wouldn't have a whole bunch of people come over and watch her. No big deal. I mean, it was just, you know, oh, we have a guy over here, Kevin Anderson, who used to be a top 10 player in the world on the men's side, that's training here, now he's retired, but when I was there, he would come over and he would just hit with our guys. No problem, no big deal. Recruiting there, you want to make sure you showcase some of that stuff, because no place else in the country had it. And so the clientele that we were looking at would be ITF ranking, which is International Tennis Federation rankings here. You were only looking for 300 to 400 ITF or higher. So which means if you're a junior, under 18, you're looking to 300 to 400 kids in the world, and that's it. Then everybody else are professionals. So honestly, recruiting was not terrible. It was not super hard. It was just, hey, you're number 2 in the Czech Republic here, you know, we're gonna talk to you, but the person that's number 5 in the Czech Republic, not cutting it. Just not happening. So the recruiting standpoint was very, very interesting, you know? UCO here, we could go and we could get roughly 2 to 3 girls from the state of Oklahoma that would come and play. There was 1 or 2 girls in Kansas that would come play. In Texas, there was a decent amount more, you know, 10, 15, something like this, that were ranked high enough that were graduating. Go see them, go talk to them. If they're not interested, then unfortunately, year 2, you go international. And so you have great players from like Japan, studs from Japan here, that are joining our tennis team, you know, and just have a wide variety of people from a lot of places. Sorry, again, I know I'm going off everywhere on this coaching stuff and recruiting and everything, but as a whole though, it's just very different at every level. If you guys want to go and be an NAIA coach or a private school coach here, and obviously this is from the tennis side, I know that baseball, there's fantastic baseball. If you draw an hour circle around here and you pick up the best players within an hour of here, man, you're gonna have an absolutely studly baseball team. Tennis is just not the same thing over here. You know, I don't know a lot about the track in the area and stuff too, but I do know some really studly, you know, track athletes and stuff like that here in the area as well. And so just knowing your clientele is huge, and then getting those relationships there, or building those relationships are massive. Let's see, the recruiting side, like I said, nobody has it figured out anywhere. I don't care what coach you are and stuff here, like there's always more and better stuff that you can do. You know, if you're KU basketball here, man, you're gonna be the best players in the country every year. You know, you're fighting for them, but also half of your roster is gonna be gone every single year because they're playing pro. You know, you're always recruiting somebody else. You know, you're always getting somebody else coming in here. So, anyways, sorry, NAIAs, you're gonna go and get a lot more local kids. You know, that's it. Like you just have a lot more kids that are a lot closer there. When you go D3s and stuff here, there's no scholarship money for athletics. Now, you have a lot of scholarship money for other kids or other things here for academics, but as a whole though, man, you're reaching out to a ton of people in hopes of getting a handful there. So, yeah, recruiting wise here, it is, I can keep going on and on and on about random stuff here. You know, people ask me all the time, hey, how do you get a kid from Japan? Hey, how do you get a kid from Czech Republic? How do you get a kid from South Africa? And one of the best stories I can have for them too is, like when I first got here, I recruited this kid, Dante. I think you guys are now old enough, you don't remember Dante here, yeah. Dante was from Belgium. Dante worked with a recruiter out of Wales/UK, so UK area there. That particular recruiter here played golf at Stetson, which is over in Florida. That recruiter lived in West Boca or West Palm there, where the office was for their recruiting headquarters. His roommate was a soccer coach at Florida Atlantic. We would practice in the morning from around 8 to 10 o'clock every morning. Soccer would start at around 10:30 or so, and so I would be showering in the locker room with the soccer coaches every day. One random day, soccer coach said, hey, this guy over here from Wales that coached over in Nebraska and stuff here, we just connected and stuff. He said, hey, can I get a tennis shirt for my roommate? I said, sure. So, inversely, that's how I got Dante, was giving a tennis shirt to a random guy that I met in Florida. You know, like that's recruiting for you, you know, like just the connections and stuff here. It's just lucky it really was here, but he's even sent us a couple kids from South Africa and another kid from Belgium too. So, recruiting, any questions you guys have so far, anything on recruiting? Okay, yeah.
At the Division I level, have you seen like NIL or anything like that play a part in any of the
I was on the very end of it at FAU here. I say very end of it, very beginning of it, so the end of my time over here. So, I'm not a big fan of NIL, just being honest with you guys here too. I just like the idea that people actually come to school to like get a degree and stuff too, on top of, playing as well here. The amount of NIL money out there is insane. It's absolutely crazy here. You have to go and you have to be an American citizen there too, and then if people want to sponsor you, that's fine. You just have to work for it. So if a dealership says, hey, can you come over here for lunch and stuff here, just say, hey, my name is Joe Brown and I like, this F-150 because it's the fastest, whatever on the market, then you work for it. It's 10 seconds, and then they can go and they can essentially give you anything they want. Like any amount of money, anything like this there too. They have NIL cooperatives where they all come together and stuff here, so they pool money, and so they can spread it out different ways. Or you can even have accounts here too on the NIL market there, where I personally can go and just donate money to you as well. Now, like I said, I don't know much more about it and stuff here. I just know that it's a different world and it's evolving all the time here. And because of that now, scholarships and everything else, essentially the NCAA is really backing off on a lot of different stuff. With all of this stuff happening, it just seems like every day there's a new announcement saying, pretty much do whatever you want. It's just crazy, it really is there. But man, the amount of money though that people donate to college athletics everywhere is just ridiculous. It is stupid how much money people are given for everything, It really is there. Yeah, stupid. Questions, recruiting? Yes?
Is there like a difference for like recruiting a Division I athlete, a JUCO athlete, or like a D2 athlete? Is there like different things to say or do?
Yeah, so, okay, again, my own little world, like tennis-wise at least, if you guys have a stud recruit that you're trying to bring in here, you 100% go see him in person, and they 100% you bring him in person, and then you have official visits. Official visits are huge. You're only allowed one per ball. You used to only be allowed one per school there. And so you could have unofficial visits where you just come and hang out and stuff there, but they have very, very, very specific rules when it comes to the D1 standard on you can't have a helicopter pick them up from the airport. I'm dead serious, like that's specific rules here too. You can't have a helicopter if you want to pick them up here. Texas football, Alabama football, can't do it. You have to go to the closest airport, you have to go to the airport that is relatively close here. You can only give so much in tickets, for family to come watch a game. Like you can only, there's some of those things that, you have to go and look out for here too. If you're big time football and stuff here, then they're going to steak houses, they're gonna go and have fancy stuff for you guys, There was a coach that, over at NC State here too, that, just being honest over here too, he would go and bring in kids, and he would go and he would have, certain kids that would take him out to clubs, and they would go and they would have fun on their recruiting visits, and I don't agree with it at all, but it's a very, very, very interesting world though when you start looking at all the different stuff involved with this. But it's just crazy. The Division IIs and all that stuff, normally you don't have this sort of thing, at least money-wise, for tennis standpoint, because you have a lot of kids from a lot of different places. When you're looking at other sports, like I said, baseball, track, that sort of stuff. Wrestling, yeah, in the wrestling world here too, unless you're going to Oklahoma State, Iowa State, Penn State over here, it's just not the same. But you also have tons of very, very good local talent everywhere though. And so, man, they're whining and dining the heck out of you at the big Power Fours. I say Power Fours, you know how it is. There are wrestling powerhouses over there too in North Dakota and different places like this. But no, everything is in person there too. It's just fancy meals, all that good stuff there. Division IIIs, all that stuff here, everything is academics. Everything is academics. So you got professors you're talking, you gotta give the accolades here on what's going on. NAIA schools there, it's just so different. You have such a variety of different people here that you have some schools that are very much religious, then you have some that are, hey, we can, I don't know, we're powerhouses here, and NAIA and JUCO are kind of the wild, wild west of the recruiting worlds and stuff too, and so there's really very few rules when it comes to JUCOs and NAIAs. You know, once somebody's born, you can talk to them to come recruit them to play, you know, tennis over here at Pratt. You know, it doesn't matter. Bigger schools though, a lot more limited. When it comes to recruiting, you also have to keep logs here of every conversation, all the texts and stuff going to different kids there. You have to have logs for practice, all that good stuff, but there's just a lot more regulations because there's a lot more opportunities, you know, to go into, yeah, you know what I mean, just do stuff here, so. All right, recruiting wise here,
I'm gonna ask, since you recruit players like from like overseas and all that, I wanted to ask if you try like, I would think with tennis, they're in clubs, are they?
they can be it.
Yeah. Do you try to have connection with those clubs, like keep connection with them, like for like later on, like future?
100%, absolutely here, 100% here. So it just depends and stuff here too, but most of the time what will happen is you guys will meet a couple key people in each country that will go and be able to give you an idea of the rundown of the players here. And so, like there is a guy here, for example, over in Stockholm, so in Sweden here, that is in charge of Junior Davis Cup. Junior Davis Cup here, he either knows somebody or knows everybody in that area. And so if there's a kid in Sweden that we like, go straight to him and say, hey, tell me about, you know, Josh over here or whatever. And then they go and they give you the lowdown on Josh, you know, somebody you trust. Recruiters and all that stuff in different places, all they want to do is I would not say this, not all of them, they want to place kids. And so honesty is not necessarily, recruiters are pretty tough to deal with, honestly. You gotta go and watch videos, look at rankings, look at results, this sort of stuff here, and decide for yourself. And when you do have some recruiters that you really do trust, 100% here. And so, you know, go back to them. And so I have just a couple of contacts, for example, down in Brazil and over, like we said, in Sweden and things like this, that if there's any questions on anything, straight to that person. You know, that's an easy one, that's a gimme, so, yep.
A typical, I guess, college coach from more team sports would say, like, when they're recruiting, there's a lot more than just talent they're looking for, like, kind of how they do in school, how they gel. Would you say in tennis there's a lot more room for kind of personality or quirks because it's more of an individual sport?
100%, yeah, absolutely here. It's amazing though how you can tell people that have played team sports as compared to individual sports. You know, like it's just, there are some of these people that have a really hard time with coping with not necessarily doing something that's exactly, you know, what you want to work on, exactly what you need. You know, maybe something that fits him better today and stuff here, and you better, you know, the next day here. But that coping for stuff like that, man, it can be very, very, very tough. And yes, there's a lot more room for that sort of different personalities. You know, like different, just different. And so, for example, like Kenta's great at doubles. Kenta plays tennis, by the way, at Pratt here. Kenta is a stud, in case you guys were wondering. Kenta over here is not the tallest guy in the world. You know, he's not. And so, when he serves, he has to be a lot more specific, you know, on where he serves too. He's very good at picking his spots and getting there, but he's not going to hit kick, which is brushing over the top where a ball comes down and jumps, slice, where you cut around the ball and the ball slides over to the side, or when you have flat, which is just coming straight through and the ball just goes through the baseline harder. Kenta over here, if he hits a kick serve, it's going to go and pop up to you a little bit easier than, let's say we have another kid on the team too that's 6'2", that can also get more angles on it. Now the ball's above somebody's shoulder. And so, you know, individual-wise, we don't have Kenta doing as many kick serves, that's for sure. But, you know, not to say you can't do it, but again, being able to go on to have like a single score or a double score going, we can kind of change that. Kenta has really good manipulation with the racket head. You know, he can go and he can control a ball really well, where other people are just trying to blast it, hit as hard as they can, flicks it, redirects it to a different spot. So he can go from defense to offense like that. He's amazing at it. I am just saying I did beat him the last time we played. But he's amazing though. He really is though. And being able to go and have individual, like singles courts going and doubles courts going, we can go and we can change and manipulate that stuff a lot more, at least from the individual standpoint there. And so, yeah, hope it kind of answers your question a little bit there, yeah.
Thank you.
Just another question or so, we're about to run out of time.
Awesome. Last thing over here, so the Division I world here, there's just a lot more pressure to do well. You know, like they're gonna pay you more, you know, you're gonna have a better salary, they're gonna give you more resources there. And so you will have donors here that also are talking to athletic directors all the time. You know, they don't care what your sport you're playing or what sport you're coaching, but you gotta go and help with this. There's a lot more, because there's a lot more resources, because there's more coaches, because there's more funding, you don't have to go and do a lot of other, your job is to do well, you know, like to win, to be successful. And so you gotta have a lot more private lessons, you gotta have a lot more individual coaching, you gotta have a lot more, you know, work with these different things over here. You know, recruiting is huge there. And so a lot of times there, TV deals, things like this too, you know, the bigger schools, they'll go and they'll say, hey, what do you need? You need an extra 100,000? Okay, go in. You know, you need this. So a lot more pressure to do well, you know, that's for sure there. Division II's there, just depends on the school, but not quite the same here. Like I said, just different places here, different requirements, different things they're looking at there. So, awesome. Questions, anything?
I think that'll do it. Thank you very much for your time,
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, see you guys.
Thank you.
See you.